Hello, Costas. It is very good to see you today. Thank you for joining us for these federal election conversations. So I've got actually five questions to ask you. Four are just policy. And the last I want you to tell us about ourselves. And then I've got some fun factoids that we're going to go through very quickly. So this really is an opportunity for the voters to get to know you. Okay, so question one. How will your party address the climate crisis?
Well, good morning, Marj. It's certainly a pleasure to be here with you, and thank you so much for doing this. Once again, I know that you get actively engaged in your political election process, reaching out to the community, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. We have a serious, a credible plan that has been vetted and approved and supported by scientists and environmentalists across this country. To address climate change. We want to be serious. We want a plan that's going to produce results. We are, of the latest government records show that Canada emits 730 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions on an annual basis. That's up 7 million from when the current government took office 6 years ago, with a lofty plan to reduce. We've seen no reductions. In fact, the last time we saw a reduction was when Stephen Harper was prime minister, and we had reduced greenhouse gas emissions to levels below 2006. Our plan, we will work with all the provinces to implement an innovative and national personal low carbon savings account. This approach to carbon pricing leverages the fact that Canadians want to do the right thing, and it gets everybody engaged in the process. Now, it's worthy to note that not one penny of the price on hydrocarbon fuels for Canadians and small businesses will go to the government. Basically, you'll pull up, I'll give you an example. You pull up to fill up your car with gas. You're going to get a credit for the amount that you're paying for carbon on your on a card. You can then use that card for purchasing any goods that are friendly to the environment. So as that accumulates on your card, you will then go into Home Depot, for example, and buy biodegradable bags for your lawn. You'll be able to use that money. You keep it. That way it engages all Canadians in the process, getting them conscious about climate change and the environment, and everybody takes part in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you very much for that response, Costas. Second question. How will your party address this issue of the very rich not paying their fair share of taxes?
We have a robust income tax act in Canada that provides for fairness for all taxpayers. Certainly, as the Conservative Party, we will continue to ensure that everybody pays their fair share. As far as I know, a lot of the people that make a lot of money also create a lot of employment. And if we really look into the nuts and bolts of what that means, I think it's a positive impact on the economy and on Canadian families. Having said that, there are those that try to skirt around the system, and those loopholes must be addressed. Certainly, the escalated income tax scale that has people that make more money paying more taxes, I think is a fair one, and we should continue to ensure that we put in the right checks and balances in place so that everyone pays their fair taxes, including the very rich. Having said that, as a party, we will continue to provide tax incentives to all Canadians and Canadian families, because at the end of the day, money in the pockets of Canadian families to fulfill their obligations, financial obligations, and meet their dreams certainly is a lot better than being in the government's hands. So we will keep taxes low for Canadians and Canadian families and ensure that those that are not paying their fair share, that can pay and can pay a little bit more, should.
Thank you for that response. Going on to our third question. What will your party do to assist the vulnerable in our community?
As we know, with the advent of COVID, certainly we saw a lot of things come up in addition to the very, very big issue of mental health and what has done to Canadian families. We saw what happened, sorry, in long-term care and seniors and how affected they were. We also saw the impact on homelessness as people, more and more people found themselves out of work and out of not having the ability to meet their financial needs for a good quality of life. So starting off with the seniors, I do want to say that we support wholeheartedly the New Horizons for Seniors programs. Those are, it's an excellent program that provides much needed help to seniors groups and organizations in the riding, and there are many, many of them right here in Richmond Hill. We, as Conservatives, will help seniors stay in their own homes, amending the home accessibility tax, increasing the limit from $10,000 per dwelling to $10,000 per person, allowing their caregivers, including their children, to claim medical expense tax credit for care instead of only allowing them to claim attendant care if they live in the group home, and introducing the Canada Senior Care Benefit, paying $200 per month per household to any Canadian who is living with and taking care of a parent over the age of 70. That is, in addition to, there's only so much I can say in that within the 2 minutes, in addition to a very robust program on looking after our seniors, is critically important for us. Now, on the issue of homelessness, I do want to address what we will do with homelessness. We will re-implement the Housing First approach, which has been watered down by the current federal government to aid in the fight against Canada's addiction crisis. We will revise the federal government's substance abuse policy framework to make recovery its overreaching goal. To do that, we're going to be investing $325 million over the next 3 years to create 1,000 residential drug treatment beds and build 50 recovery community centers across the country. They will support innovative approaches to address the crisis of mental health challenges and addiction, such as land-based treatment programs developed and managed by Indigenous communities as part of a plan to enhance the delivery of culturally appropriate addictions treatment and prevention services in First Nations communities with high needs. So it's something that is one of the 5 pillars of our platform.
Thank you very much for that response. Next question. How would you like to see the Indigenous people represented in our society moving forward?
Well, I want to start by acknowledging that we are speaking today on the lands of the Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples. We should always make mention and respect that we are really guests and visitors on this land, and we acknowledge that and respect that. We have seen, unfortunately, and quite sadly and disgracefully, the whole issue of residential schools and what that has happened with the discovery of unmarked graves of children. No matter how anybody looks at that and tries to somehow justify it, I can't, in my mind at least, Marj, justify ever why anybody would be burying children on school grounds. Never mind everything else that was wrong, so wrong with the residential schools. So we acknowledge as Conservatives the deep sorrow and mourning that all Indigenous peoples and survivors of residential schools are experiencing. Our hearts grieve every time we see that on TV and read about it in the news. So the Conservative Party is committed to support treaty rights and the process of reconciliation with Canada's Indigenous peoples. A Conservative government created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission as part of the 2007 Indian Residential School Settlement Agreement, which recognized the Indian residential school system has a profoundly lasting and damaging impact on the community, on the heritage, on languages, and so forth. So we will be investing heavily in ensuring clean water, schools, infrastructure in the Indigenous communities that are so terribly needed. And it's actually quite disgraceful as a country that we have not been able to accomplish that yet.
Thank you, Costas, for that response. Our last question. what abilities do you have to be a good member of Parliament?
Well, thank you for that question, Marge. Self-praise is no recommendation. So I will attempt to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a family man. I'm a businessman. I'm a longtime Richmond Hill businessman and resident. I started my business in Richmond Hill in 1988. It has grown considerably since then with the grace of God. And certainly my life has been in and around Richmond Hill for the past 33 years now, every single day. So I live in Richmond Hill. It's a community that I desperately and deeply have a passion for. My commitment and my pledge to the good people of Richmond Hill is that I will work tirelessly 7 days a week, 24 hours around the clock to be there for you, to bring my business experience, my government experience, my volunteer experience. I have 35 years volunteering in not-for-profit organizations. My primary goal in this is to give back to the community. I've always believed and I've always said that a person that is elected in public office is sitting in a borrowed chair. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the people that gave them the right to sit in it. So I was very conscious of that when I was honored to be the Member of Parliament for Richmond Hill. And I would be deeply honored if I'm given that opportunity again.
Thank you for that response, Costas. I know you well, so I was wondering what you would say there. So thank you. Okay, we've got these fun questions. So just take us a few, I'm thinking 30 seconds. So I'll fire away. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. Have you driven a motorcycle?
I have not.
No. Do you ever wear your socks that don't match?
No, I do not.
What's your favorite genre of music?
Unquestionably rock and roll.
Rock and roll. What type of car do you drive?
I drive an SUV.
SUV. Okay. What musical instruments can you play?
Many people don't know this. You'd be surprised. I play the saxophone.
Saxophone. Okay. Okay. And lastly, do you chew gum?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. Okay. Thank you so much, Costas. That was fun. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Marge. Thank you so much. Deeply appreciate the opportunity to speak with you anytime. And thank you for doing this once again. Thank you.